What's going on, guys? So I was thinking this morning, I dropped off my kids right now. I kept thinking about this conversation I had with a friend where they were like, man, I don't know what's it gonna take to actually create like the outcome and the life that I want. Like, I've been working so hard, so diligently, and I've been disciplined and really doing the things at least I think I have to create the outcome that I want in my life. And he was like, I just don't get why I'm not there yet. Like, it's been years. It's been 5, 7, 8 years. I'm not quite sure how long he has said he's been working towards his goal. And he's like, and I'm not quite there yet. Like, this guy is in an industry that don't know really much about, but I do understand it's a very, very competitive industry. And it's an industry where most people, quote unquote, fail, right? And I say fail in the sense of like, they never actually accomplish that dream of like really being, a rock star, a superstar, or like one of the best when it comes to being in this industry. And what I mean also by being the best is, I mean, at least what people perceive to be the best, right? Like, for example, we think about, Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, you look at Tony Robbins and you're probably like, he's one of the best. He's one of the best self-development and motivation coaches and now become entrepreneur that exists, that's out there based on like where he came from. We have that perception, but it does not mean that there aren't other better speakers, motivators, or entrepreneurs than Tony Robbins, right? We just don't know about them. That's what I mean by like the perception of what people have, what success means. This does not mean that you're not good. It does not mean that you should not follow your path. If you're committed on what that vision is and what it is, like, you will eventually figure it out, but people just yet have not seen it. So in the industry that he's in, people kind of get to see it. Like, he can't just be a hidden master at the craft that he does. Here's what's funny. Really successful people, not everybody might know you, but people who are surrounded by you and work with you in one way or another, they know that you're really good at something. They are enrolled into the vision, into what you want to create. And so I was telling him, I was like, look, just because you're at where you're at and you're not quite where you've gotten, like, that is very, very normal. Like, it does not mean that because you've been working at this craft for 10 plus years that you actually deserve to get what you want today. Like, there's something that you're still not quite getting, or you're not doing enough of for people to actually see, what you're trying to get them to see. And this guy's vision's like massive. It's like really, really big. Again, I know nothing about this industry, but what I believe I do know that I've told him, I was like, all it really takes is one massive year. One massive year can absolutely change your life to the point where everything and all the work you've ever put in will actually surface in the moment and just absolutely explode your life. I told him a little bit about my story. I was like, look, there was a couple of years where I made pretty decent money, but then there was this one year where it just completely exploded. Like, it just exploded to the point of, I was like, holy smokes, like, this is crazy. Like, this is big. This wasn't something that just happened out of nowhere, right? This wasn't something that just like randomly, like, oh, 2 years in, I started, doing XYZ and then like now I work. It's a combination of a lot of things. Like, for one, like, since I was a kid, I knew that I wanted to make a lot of money, but I didn't know why. Like, it was just like this thing that I had. And I don't know if it was genetic or environmental from hearing people, talking about money in my family, or I saw something that just inspired me to do it, or maybe I had a chip on my shoulder, right? Maybe I thought that if I made a lot of money, people would respect me. I think it's a combination of all, but the reason why I'm saying this is because that was like 15 years of me believing and thinking that I needed to, or at least wanted to, make a lot of money. And so if you think about it, let's just guess like maybe that was like at 15 when this started. It might have been earlier, I'm not quite sure. I think it was earlier actually, but let's just say even 15 years old. For 15 years, I had this vision that I wanted to make money, but I really didn't do much about it. Like, I didn't. I had the vision, I can see it. It's like if I felt like I was destined to do this, but I did nothing about it. So in a sense, I had already been putting 15 years by the time I became 30 of like what this vision was and what I wanted, but I didn't actually do anything about it. And then after that, I spent probably about 5 years, or maybe up until like 28, like for like 5 years of like really working on myself, like diligently, like really refining who I was as a man, refining who I was as a person, refining who I was as an entrepreneur, learning things that I had to learn to really build the skill sets to actually accomplish that dream. Imagine, like, I'm thinking over here, I want to make a lot of money, but if I don't have those skill sets, like, how am I actually going to do it? It's not like I'm just going to randomly win the lottery, which could happen, but here's the funny thing. I don't play the lottery, so obviously it's not going to happen. I then spend multiple years like really learning different things about business and money and how money works, and just trying to make the right moves as into like what I should be learning about. Then I spent a few more years trying different businesses, and then after that, eventually I got into the business that I got into. I had a couple good years. I had a couple decent years where I was making some good money. Most of my life, I've made, $30,000 to $50,000 a year. Most of my life. These 2 years were astronomical. They were a multiple of what I used to make, and so they were really good years. But then eventually this one year came. This one year, about 3 years into this business, where it just absolutely exploded. When we look at that, it's like, it's not 1 year that made it happen. It's not 1 year's worth of work that was like all of a sudden like, oh my God, I made X amount of money. It was 20 years plus, right? 15 years of like sticking to that vision. I didn't do anything about it, but sticking to that vision, and then spending another 5 to 7 years like really dissecting and learning things about myself and what I had to learn to apply into a business, and then actually then applying all that. And so when you look at that, it's like, that's 20 plus years of having making a quote unquote home run in business, of making a good amount of money to the point where like maybe I would never have to work again if I properly invested. I say this to him because I'm like, dude, all it takes is 1 year. It's 1 year, guys. And I'm telling you guys this as well. It takes just 1 year to absolutely change your life to the point where you're like, wow, like I think I kind of finally made it. Like I finally started scratching the surface to what I believe that I should be making. And if you look at a lot of the great people in the world who, and by great, I mean, you know, people who've become really, really, really good in their craft, not everybody like did it at a very young age, right? Like we can think about some of the people that pop in my head right away are like a Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc was not the founder of McDonald's. He was not the original founder, but he ran into the people who created McDonald's in his 50s. If you guys haven't seen the movie or read the book, like you should. It's pretty interesting dynamic of like how he took over that company, but he's the one that grew it to what it is today. It was him. It was his action and all the work and effort and learning he had put in the prior 20, 30 years to then be able to take that company to what it took it to. And again, he was in his 50s. There's also Colonel Sanders, I believe is his name, is the guy who created KFC. He didn't create KFC till it was 60s or 70s, I believe. Think about that. 20, 30, 40 years of believing there was something he wanted to create, or maybe he was, loved food, or maybe he felt like everybody should try fried chicken, or whatever his like goal was. He stuck to it. He stuck to it, and now KFC is as big as it is. And here's what's funny. I am not a big proponent or fan of restaurants like KFC and McDonald's because I don't believe they're the healthiest. And even when something's not the healthiest, these guys were able to create massive empires. You can see this all across the board everywhere. All across the board everywhere in things that you might not consider good, or you might actually consider good. It sometimes takes decades. And all it takes is one massive year to absolutely change your life. And so if you're willing to stick to it, if you're willing to stick to that vision and you truly believe that is what God has destined for you, you'll make it happen. Through that journey, you're gonna find yourself like where you've maybe hurt people along the way, where you maybe were too selfish, where maybe you weren't focusing on the right things. And I believe that as long as you're willing to course correct along the way, you can create that outcome that you want. If you just decide to like just sit around and wait till the right moment and wait till like everything's perfect, it's gonna take forever to get there. My reminder to you guys today is that all it takes is 1 year. One massive year can absolutely change your life. And I feel like that's the path that I'm in again right now. I've made a decent amount of money, and I'm specifically talking about financial stuff right now, is that I'm going after one more big home run. Can I do something massive enough to the point where like I don't ever have to work again? Transform yourself and wait till you've learned everything, right? I invest the money to a point where I never have to worry about money again, and I can then choose to start another business and not have to really worry about money. And I really have to worry about the outcome of what's going to happen because I've gotten there. The same thing is everywhere else. The same thing is like when it comes from having a spiritual foundation. For me, I've never had a spiritual foundation for the most part of my life. We've been working diligently really the last like 6 months to like really find that path, really find a place where I can be grounded, and so that can guide me to the right path and what I want to create in my life today. I'm not quite there yet, and it might take me a few more years. Like I don't know, it might take me another month where I'm like, oh man, like I feel like I have a strong foundation now. Like I gotta not keep working towards, but now it's strong enough to where I can guide and lead people with me. This is also years of work, right? I've also put in a lot of years towards building a spiritual foundation, very inconsistent ones, but I've worked towards it, right? I've tried going to church, I've tried reading the Bible, I've tried meditating, I've done many of these different things for multiple weeks, multiple months in a row, but then I stop, and then I start, then I stop. The same thing applies everywhere, right? This is not just about business, it's not just about spirituality, it's everything. Whatever that vision is that you have, whatever that big goal is that you have, I believe it can happen for everybody to a certain degree. And I believe that it might not be exactly what you envision, but it'll be a version of what you are envisioning. And as long as you're willing to stick to that, you will find it and you will get there. Just remember, all it takes is one massive, massive year to absolutely change your life. All right, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next video.